When State Assemblyman Zohran Mamdani announced his run for the mayor, one of his boldest promises was a citywide rent freeze.
I'm Assemblyman Zohran Mamdani, and I'm running for mayor to freeze the rent for every rent-stabilized tenant.
Now you might be wondering what exactly is a rent freeze and why is it such a big deal right now. Let's break it down. A rent freeze means no rent increases. Whatever you are paying now stays the same. No annual bumps, no sudden hikes. It's one of the strictest forms of rent control, often called absolute or first generation rent control, where landlords simply can't raise the rent. But here's the catch. Rent freezes are usually temporary. They are brought in during crises like a recession, a pandemic, or when housing becomes too expensive for most people to afford. And in New York City right now is feeling the crunch. Inflation in the NYC metro area is running hot about 3.4% compared to the national average of 2.4%. What's fueling it? Housing. Shelter costs in the NYC are up 5.5% in the past year, higher than the national 4%. Median rents in Manhattan, Brooklyn and Queens keep rising, and in some areas they are up more than 5% over a year. Add to that high mortgage rates around 6.6% and you have got fewer people buying house, more pressure on rentals and a rental market in overdrive. Even though the city added over 27,000 affordable housing units in 2024, they are vanishing fast. The vacancy rate for units under $1,100 just 0.39%, almost nothing, and over 432,000 households earning under $50,000 are spending more than 30% of their income just on rents. That's what's called being severely rent burdened, and it means that every rent increase pushes people closer to the edge. In this context, a rent freeze does a few critical things. It stabilizes housing cost, shielding tenants from sudden hikes when their incomes aren't keeping up with the inflation. It prevents evictions by keeping rent predictable and manageable. It protects public health, helping families avoid the stress and risk of being unhoused. And it keeps communities together so people aren't forced out of neighborhoods they rely on for work, school or care. New York City already has version of this for senior and people with disabilities. The rents are frozen, the landlords get tax breaks to make up the differences, but rent freezes also come with the trade-offs. Landlords might cut back on maintenance or stop investing in rentals because the return isn't there. It can lock tenants into homes that no longer meet their needs just because it's the only affordable option. And it doesn't always help those most in need. Wealthier tenants can benefit if they have held onto the cheap leases, while new renters still face a sky-high price. Without building more affordable homes, a rent freeze alone can't solve the housing crisis. A rent freeze in the New York City could offer urgent relief, especially when inflation is high, rents are rising and household budgets are stretched thin. But it's not all silver bullet. To truly fix housing, the city needs more supply, better protections and a long-term planning, not just short-term price caps. So when Zohran Mamdani calls for a rent freeze, he's tapping into real, urgent pain, but also stepping into a much bigger policy puzzle. If you found this explainer useful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe.